Hi there. In this tutorial I'll be showing you how to build a single player game in FPS Creator. The first thing you'll want to do once you have FPS Creator loaded up is make sure that you're in single player mode. Now to do so, the visual aid that FPS Creator gives you is this black grid behind your mouse. If this grid is red for some reason, this means that you're in multiplayer mode. Now there's three methods that you can use to get back to single player mode, which I'll explain them now. The first method is to come up to your file menu and choose the new item here. This basically creates a new single player map and also flips FPS Creator to single player mode. The other option you can use is to go back into file and choose open, and then you can open any one of your single player maps which you've already created. Now I don't need to, so I'm going to hit cancel. And then finally the third option, which is the easiest, is to come up to your file menu again, go into preferences, and you'll see at the bottom we have multiplayer, and underneath that we have single player and multiplayer. So basically if my grid was red, I would have multiplayer selected, which then I just have to left click on single player and say OK, and that would switch the engine over to single player. Now, once we're in single player mode, we're going to have to start building our game. Now to start building our game, we're going to have to go to our file menu and choose build game. Now what will pop up in front of you is basically a dialog of a bunch of different tabs which we'll cover here. So we have game project settings, level settings, textures, we have arena. This only deals with multiplayer games, which we'll cover later on, and finally we have build settings. So I'm going to start with the first panel that we have here, which is game project settings. In this panel we have project, key controls, and weapon slots. So starting with project, we have a game project file name. By default, the file name is going to be mygame.fpg. What this file entails is basically all the controls that you enter in here will be saved in this file. So any weapons that you assign, any controls that you assign, your levels, your textures, any multiplayer settings and build settings will all be saved into this file. Now if you have a file that you want to use from an existing single player game or multiplayer game, you can click on this little elliptical button here, which will bring up a open file dialog, which then you can just basically click on one of these files and click open, and it will load all those settings into you. Now I don't have one, so I'm going to hit cancel, and I'm going to create a brand new one by clicking on the new button. And I'm just going to call this one tutorial. So I'm going to say OK to that. And moving on, underneath project we have key controls. These are all the controls that we can change for the player. By default, these are the controls that FPS Creator uses. Now, myself, I don't like using the enter key for action because I find that I have to move my hands off of the WSAD keys. So what I like to do is I like to change this action key to the letter F. Now to change any one of these, all we have to do is double click on the key that we want to change, then on our keyboard press the letter. So I'm going to change the use action from the enter key to letter F, so I just have to press the F button itself. And you'll notice that FPS Creator has changed it automatically. Now you can do this with any number of them, so if you want it move forward to be the up arrow, all you have to do is double click and then press the up arrow. Now I'm going to change this back because I like it where it is, but this is totally up to you. You can change it however you want. Moving down to weapon slots, you'll see that we have allocated to key 1 all the way to key 9. Now what this basically is on your keyboard at the top you have the numbers 1 through 0. What FPS Creator allows you to do is assign a weapon from the numbers 1 through 9. Now to do this, all you have to do is find which key you want, and then just left click over on the right side, and it will bring up a weapon selections. You'll have a drop down near the bottom which you can scroll through all the weapons that FPS Creator has, and you can select whatever one you want. So I'm going to choose a shotgun here and say OK. And on key number 2, I'm going to go to back in, and let's say I choose the bazooka. Now, one thing to remember here is even though I've chosen key number 1 and key number 2, the player has to physically pick up these weapons in order to either press the number 1 and get the shotgun, or press the number 2 and get the bazooka. When you assign these weapons, they will not automatically be put into the game for you. So the player either has to start off with a weapon or pick it up somehow, whether it's a bad guy or on a shelf or in a secret area. They have to physically have these weapons first. Now, moving on to level settings, we have things like game screen and a list of levels. In game screens, we have our title screen, we have a global script that runs throughout our game. We also have a game over screen and a game complete. What I'll do is I'll start with the title screen. You'll notice on the right we have these edit buttons, so I'm going to click on our title screen edit. And we have some different sections here. We have general and we have menu items. In the general section of our title page, this is basically the first page that once you load up your game that you will see. Now you can change the background, so you can, anything in the background, you can change it. You can change the music that's playing and the mouse pointer. And then finally, the section underneath, we have menu items. In the menu items, we have a header image, a new game, load game, and exit game button. What you can do is you can change any one of these. So basically, let's say if you wanted the header image to be something different than just the regular new game logo, you can put in your own game logo. All you need to do is select it, come over to the right, click on the elliptical button, and then just select whatever image file that you want. Now, FPS Creator also gives you the ability to move these images around. You can move them on the X-axis and Y-axis. X being left and right, Y being up and down. So let's say I created a new game button and I didn't want it to mess up my background. So this means I had to move my new game button over on the left. What I could do is I could come down to the X coordinates and change this to say 10. And basically what that will do is that will put my new game button just on the left of the screen and then 40 pixels down. Or 45, sorry, pixels down. Any changes that you did here, you can either accept by pressing OK, or you can hit cancel to revert back to what was already there. I'm going to hit cancel because I don't really want to save my changes. And I'm going to move on to the global scripts. Now you can see right off the bat is we have a lot more different sections here. We have general, we have a level setup, we also have screen overlays and status panels, and then finally menu items. So I'm going to start off with the general, and what this entails is basically a music and a mouse pointer. What you can do is you can set up a script to play this general music throughout the entire level if you want. To change this music, all you have to do again is click on this elliptical button and it'll bring up a open file dialog, which then you just go and you choose your music that you want.